Welcome back at WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We're positively doing our final segment. I think it's our final segment because they're going to feed me. We're at Gertrude's in the Chesapeake Kitchen. We're at the Baltimore Museum of Art. It's been really crowded here the last couple hours. John didn't have any time to even come in here. It was like this table, that table, all this stuff, all these crab cakes, all this food here, all the holiday celebration. If you haven't been down to the BMA, first off, get over here because the price is right. It's centrally located, and Dan Roderick's show is going to be here in Baltimore. You have no idea. The Maryland Crab Cake Tour is presented by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have a whole bunch of scratch-offs. I have the Unwrap the Cash. I have the scented, although I can't smell them, Peppermint Payout, and the very, very scented Oh Snaps. We had some winners up at the bar earlier. Our friends at Window Nation have the fun floppy hat here, which is its own art experiment, especially on my head with my hair, as well as Jiffy Lube Multi-Care. John Shields, my cousin by marriage through daughter-in-laws. Mercedes is new. She doesn't even know this story. John Shields runs Gertrude's. Mercedes Lopez is the visitor experience manager, a real Marylander. And UMBC, you got all these local roots here. How are things at the BMA besides just full and vibrant here today on a beautiful, almost spring-like day in the middle of winter, right?
But it is Baltimore, so I'm sure we'll cycle through all of the season shortly.
Within the next 24 hours, yeah.
Usually.
It was winter the other day. It was spring today. We'll see, you know.
But everything at the BMA is going great. You're right. We do have a lot of fun and vibrant things going on. We've got a brand new installation in the East Lobby by Mexican artist Raul de Nieves, and it is fantastic. It occupies both the inside of the first floor and extends onto the second floor and has a fantastic stained glass element on the second floor that you can see as well. We have a fantastic Making Her Mark exhibit, and that focuses on work from European artists between 1400 and 1800, women artists. We have work from over 15 different countries in that exhibit alone, 20 different materials, over 230 objects in just that space. It's fantastic. And we also have a new Joseph Education Center reopening shortly. So we have a celebration coming up on December 3rd so that we can reopen the first floor, and we are looking forward to that so much.
Well, I did this crab cake tour knowing I was going to get to a lot of places, and we talked about John and Gertrude's and this pathway with Odette Ramos and Jamie Raskin and vegan crab cakes and different kinds of crab cakes. But the BMA, the reason I wound up here last year was because of Dan. Dan decided to put his show here, and I've been to Gertrude's a dozen times for various indoor, outdoor functions, parties, best of parties over the course of years. I've had some beautiful outdoor nights here in the spring and the summer when the space has hosted sort of grand occasions here at various points, right? And I know you're a special occasion place for dinners, but the museum itself, and I had Chris on during the plague maybe 3-4 years ago, and we talked about like shutting people out, virtual learning, virtual art, all of those things. Now that it's back and it's vibrant, I hear my wife literally showed me her pictures at the Louvre 48 hours ago. My wife was in Paris, took her sister to Paris 2 weeks ago to see The Man Who Saved Her Life and see football and do all this stuff. And they went to the Louvre. She came back from the Louvre. She posted no pictures because she was just like running around Paris and wasn't posting pictures. She did a photo drop and she dropped like 400 pictures. And I'm like, I'm not looking through 400 pictures. I'm like, you went, I want to see them. And it occurred to me like 3 days ago. I said, I'm doing the show at the BMA. She's like, I went to the Louvre last week. And I'm like, I didn't even see any pictures. I said, where's the Mona Lisa? Let's go, you know? So she showed me all this stuff. And I'm like, you've been to the Louvre and you've never been to the BMA. Like, what is up with...
Sounds like she's overdue.
So, you know, we go to New York, we go to D.C., we Smithsonian, and you say, I go to Chicago, and like, there's all of these fabulous places when you go other places. You think, well, I'll be snobby. I'm on the road, it's raining, I'm in New York, I'll go to the art museum. And this place here, and the Walters, and what we have in this community... There's a lot of people like me, Dodo Bird, never had a vegan crab cake, but I had never been to Deep Creek Lake. I was admitting this to you and the crab cake tour, and Dan Roderick took me fly fishing in western Maryland against the West Virginia border, little town called Western Port, Maryland. And I go to all these wild places, and I'm thinking, I've been all over I've been to the Australian outback, and I've never been to Western Maryland. So for the BMA to be here, for people like my wife to go to the Louvre, tell her wonder what she's going to see here that is bigger and better and more grand than even
I
the Louvre.
love it. That's a great question. So one of my favorite things about the BMA is the breadth of our collection. Not only do we have art from all around the world, but we also have a fantastic collection of work by Maryland artists and particularly Baltimore-based artists, which we're always proud to share. So when you visit the BMA, not only will you find some fantastic examples of art from antiquity and the Renaissance and early European art from like the 17th and 18th century, but we're also working to fill the gaps of our collection. And that's really important work to canonically include previously excluded voices or voices that don't always get a chance to express themselves. So as you continue to come to the museum, you're going to continue to see more and more contemporary art from around the world, some fantastic works by contemporary American artists. We have Wangechi Mutu's Water Woman out in the Sculpture Garden, which is pretty much always accessible. And most importantly, what we're best known for is probably our Matisse collection. We have the largest public holding of works by Matisse in the world, over 1,200 works by Matisse alone, which means that we're able to put Matisse in 2 areas of the museum at a time. Not only will you be able to see his paintings and sculptures on the second floor in the Cone collection, but you'll also see works on paper by Matisse and his contemporaries in the first floor in the Matisse
Do you loan
Center.
those out?
I'm sorry?
Do those loan out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to other museums, not to individuals.
No. I mean, it's a lot of times I'll go places and see sort of traveling exhibits or that's here for 60 days or whatever, and I'm thinking, you have all of this art. And when I went through earlier today, I was given an early tour, and I went through an African collection on the way because I'm doing an event here next week before, and thank you to the BMA, to everybody, Anne, who's Alicia, everybody's been awesome, Miasma, everybody, for Dan's show. But I walked through, and I thought to myself, where do you keep the stuff when it's not being shown, right? And I guess the news would be on a thing like Matisse is like, well, Chicago wants one, Houston wants one, LA, Paris one. Like, that would be something that might get you something cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I traded baseball cards. I trade Pacifica belt buckles right now. I got my Kiss belt buckle on right now.
All right.
For last. This is my art. This was art to me. When I was 8 years old, I was 9 years old when I came here to see the Coen sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I was in 5th grade, maybe 10. 5th grade, my 5th grade field trip was to see the Coen sisters here. And we learned all about it. And but this was what the art that we drew on our. This is Kiss art. So this is what I thought art was in 1978 because I learned about art through rock and roll. Like literally, like rock and roll album art was like to me still Rush and 2112. Like that's art to me. That's what I would want to hang on my wall. Yeah. And then but when I came here as a kid, and no offense, I mean, these places are a little stuffy for an 8-year-old kid from Dundalk.
They can be.
Right. I mean, in that era it was. It's not anymore. I walked in, and to your point, give me the Mexican artist again that does the pop culture. That's
Raul
so cool.
de Nieves.
Colorful, vibrant, physical,
interactive.
You sit next. You touch these pieces of art, and and I talk about the American Visionary Arts Museum, which was in my neighborhood, which had all this weird pop art. And I think of John Waters, who was on my show recently. Yeah, I got him on for the first time. I think John Shields and John Waters in the same month. Big month. Vegan crab cakes, but. Art has changed in 50. Art has changed from the only place a kid could get that kind of jam was on a Kiss album cover back when I was a kid. Kiss album covers now come to places like this in the form of people who were also inspired by Kiss album covers who now do really cool, popular art that is accessible in a place that maybe 50 years ago the curators would have said, that Andy Warhol, that's not real art.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, literally,
and we're interested in having all audience with different levels of understanding and familiarity with art to come and engage and learn something new, explore, and maybe have an aha moment. So art for all ages, all levels of experience and familiarity. And if somebody has like a realization, well, we're here to help facilitate.
It must be really expensive to get in here, huh?
The museum is free. Thank you so much.
See that? I knew. Well, I called because I was trying to organize getting here today and setting up and make sure that I knew you were going to be really busy and crowded here at Gertrude's. And when I called like the main switchboard, and the first thing it says, we're free. We're free. And I'm thinking,
yes, we are.
And that's its own. That's I don't want to bury the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the museum has been free, I believe, since 2006, and we are so happy to be able to share our permanent collection with the public. We do have occasional ticketed exhibits, which that Making Her Mark, a history of women artists in Europe, 14 through 1800, is a ticketed exhibit. We usually have those about twice a year, but every ticketed exhibit will have at least 3 free days, and that's so that the art can remain free and accessible for all.
Well, first thing I saw coming in were kids. You know, like there's always school groups coming through. John, give me the back. You're a Parkville guy. John Shields is here from Gertrude's. We're sitting at Gertrude's. Mercedes Lopez is here. She's the visitor experience manager for all things Baltimore Museum of Art. When I say BMA, I've had a couple friends say, we're going to do the BMA. What's that? You know, okay, Baltimore Museum. Is that the one downtown or is the one by Hopkins? You know, so I get that. So I'm inviting people here next week. The one thing I would say is people know about you and they know about your place. How long has Gertrude's? Give me the Gertrude story as the crab cakes come, because we're going to talk about Gertie's crab cake here and who Gert was. But I don't know of the museum not having you, right?
Yeah.
How long has it been here?
We've been here for 25 years.
Well, that's why I don't know.
Yeah.
Wasn't here when the Coen sisters in 1978. But
no, we weren't here then.
All right, so give me your background and how you build an iconic restaurant, because every museum wants to have a high-end, a nice restaurant, a place that people want to come back again. And sometimes I go to places and see that they fail, and sometimes the names change. And I mean, we've all seen that. You've built something pretty venerable here. Maybe it's because you have all these crab cakes on the menu that I get to try.
Exactly. That helps. I mean, but I also think that, you know, when we started here 25 years ago, having a kind of a higher end, nice restaurant in a museum was not normal. We were one of the first in the country to do that. And, you know, so every year we were recognized from Travel Magazine.
Where did you eat here before when you came here? Was it a vending machine or like, so I'm serious. I've gone to a lot of museums in my day where I'm like, where's the food?
Yeah.
You know, it's down the freeway. What? You know, like that's not.
No,
that's not an experience.
No, but that's
you want to leave.
But that's traditional. I mean, most museums, especially when I was growing up, when you were growing up, they were cafeterias. I mean, you went and there were either vending machines or there were cafeterias, and you know, so this whole era of making an experience to come to a museum, you know, was one thing. My background is in Chesapeake cooking. I had a Chesapeake Bay restaurant in Berkeley, California for many years. I was there for 20 years in California.
Berkeley's pretty good. That's a good spot.
Cool.
It's a good spot.
So I moved back home, and when I did, I started a PBS cooking series, Chesapeake Bay Cooking with John Shields, and then I needed
to know that. That's so cool, John.
See, we're learning.
That's great. I love it.
So then I needed to get a real job, and so looking around, looking at spaces, and I heard that this space was available. Came and I thought, this is it. I just looked out at that sculpture garden, looked at everything around me. I thought, I want to be here.
Who's Gertrude?
Gertrude was my grandmother, and so let's do that story.
She would love this garden.
This is very important to Dan Roderick's. Okay,
sure.
This is we got to do a disclaimer here. Okay. So, John Shields comes back from California, and I've known Dan for years and years. And I said, oh, Dan, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm opening this restaurant at the BMA, and my investors all want my name to be in it, and I don't want my name in it. He goes, don't you worry. I'll take care of it. And so he wrote an op-ed article for the Baltimore Sun. He said, celebrity chef John Shields comes back to his hometown of Baltimore, and he's going to open a restaurant at the Baltimore Museum of Art. Now, his wonderful restaurant in California was called Gertie's, named after his grandmother, Gertrude Cleary. My suggestion is, since this is a little bit more upscale, why don't we call it Gertrude's? It will not only be a tribute to his grandmother, but to Gertrude Stein, who was instrumental in making the Coen collection come to life. So it is a tribute to the Gertrudes of Baltimore. Thank you, Dan Roderick's.
And you didn't know that story. You work here.
No, I didn't know all of that. I knew that it came from your grandmother. I didn't know the whole connection.
I love hearing. All right, so John Shields is bringing crab cakes here, and this is. I've done over 200 crab cakes, right? So this is the first time somebody is actually bringing me multiple different versions. They're not. These aren't the same recipe. They just look similar because they're deliciously pan fried. Correct?
Exactly. I have you a little combo. Yeah. So you're. Gonna,
hold on. I'm gonna hold these up for the camera, and you can explain what these are. Go ahead.
All right. Now this is the signature. This is the Gerties. This was my grandmother's recipe, Gertrude Cleary's.
Where's Gertrude from?
Gertrude's 25th and Greenmount.
So it's a Baltimore recipe.
Yeah.
This is okay.
St. Anne's Church.
Go ahead. All right.
Okay, so that. And then we do a boardwalk, and it's a little bit more like you were talking about with your mom making. And
this looks like the crab cake they served me in the press box on the mezzanine level at Memorial Stadium in the 80s.
Yeah. So I think of it as when I used to go to the circus or when I would go down to the ocean, they would use a mixture of crab meat. It's kind of like they
Special.
It's kind of like they do in Smith Island when they're picking crab there. They put it all into one pot. You don't have jumbo lump. You don't have lump. You don't have it. It all goes together, and so that's what the boardwalk is. And then I made a very special one for you. Okay, what is the problem we have in the bay right now? We have the blue catfish. Invasive.
I've done whole segments on this.
So I made...
People have no idea how big those things are.
Catties. Instead of coddies, I got catties. And so I make salt cat and smoke some of the
So the thing in the
catfish.
middle is not a crab cake.
No,
it's a catfish cake.
It's a
I'm gonna have that first. Give me.
It's a
fork
caddy.
Fork me, Mercedes. Let's go. Come on here. Let's go. I need a fork. You got to get after this.
That's
here.
the caddy.
All right. We are at the BMA. We're at
they're great with
Gertrude's,
brunch,
and I've
too.
done a lot of different crab cakes. And it just turns out. Did I begin a segment telling you that we're related? Did we talk about this?
I overheard part of it, but I don't know that I understand the connection.
Tell everybody, because it's been a half an hour from the radio perspective.
Okay.
I told the whole story of how I've never met him until like today that I remember. Have I met you? Have we really met?
I don't think we've ever met to talk and sit down.
No, I don't know that I've
Maybe at an event, yes.
But I don't even remember. I mean, we're Facebook friends because I'm sort of that guy that does that. I met members of your staff a year and a half ago. We've talked about eating these crab cakes for a long... I have a vegan one here, half for my wife from the last segment. 2 days ago, I said I'm coming to Gertrude's. I shared this beautiful menu. And are you ready for this? My son's wife's mother... My son is 39. His wife is, I don't know how, it's 30 now or whatever. They've been in Amsterdam the last week. Mm-hmm. They didn't even know about this. My daughter-in-law's never, ever told me, I'm related to John at Gertrude's.
Oh, that is
so Aubrey,
so
shame on you, and no catfish for you. So my daughter-in-law's mother,
Cindy
Shields, Vate,
Uncle Willie's
writes
daughter.
on
Small to more.
Facebook that John Shields is my cousin. And I said, hold on, Shields. I'm like, I didn't even think about her maiden name, right? So they've only been married for like a decade, and I found out last night. I called him fam on a text. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So now Gertrude is fam to me now.
Yeah.
Hold on, man. This is heavy. Hold on. So what is this made with, this catfish thing?
Okay, it's salt cat, so I make it like salt cod, and then I also smoke some of it. Then it has potatoes, it has caramelized onions, and all kinds of seasonings
open
and
this up,
spices.
see what this is.
So take a look at that.
What is that?
A little bit of potato.
It's potato.
A little bit of potato, yeah. So that on a cracker, like you would have a coddy, with a little bit of mustard
tastes a little bit
on
like
top
a
of it.
knish.
Yeah, a little knishish.
Knishish.
Yes, knishish. Yes.
He's from Parkville. Don't hold it against him.
It's okay.
It's okay. So when am I going to get the fish in it? I don't have any fish.
You got plenty of fish in there.
Hold on.
That's all shredded up.
I like fish. It's kind of like fish hash.
Yeah.
Okay, it's good?
Yeah, because if you make a seafood hash, you're making it with onions and with potatoes and cooked fish, and you chop it all together, and that's
Is it a codfish cake?
Yeah,
Sort of?
It is, yes.
See, I wasn't a part of that era. I know, like at Atman's they have cod. Some places you can still get a cod. I get the corned beef. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have to be honest with you as I sit here and enjoy and I'm going to try the other ones. I'm going to take it home to my wife to sample as well. The oysters. I threatened after doing 30 crab cakes in 30 days in 21. Then in 22, I did 31 crab cakes in 31 days, and went to different places. on purpose the second time. I love Western Maryland so much I had to go back. I love the Eastern Shore so much outside of Ocean City. I told her I'd never really been off of 50, so I went to Hooper's Island, up to Suicide Bridge, all these places, and I went back to a few of them that I loved, and I tried some new stuff. And I said to my wife last year, I'm like, all right, I want to go back to these places in Maryland, but everywhere I went, and Damie from Fadley's is always on me, much like you with the catfish, saying oysters. The oxygenation of the oyster is what allows crabs to live. You need to promote oysters. We need to eat oysters. We need to talk about oysters, oyster recovery, all that. So she's like, it'll be a good tourism thing for you. Get involved. So I was going to do 32 oysters and 30 because my 36, but it turns out it's my 25th anniversary of my station. So I'm like, I'll do 25 oysters in 25 days, and it got away from me. I just got busy, but it's still my 25th year. So next year, I've said I'm going to do 25 oysters in 25 days in 25 ways, in different ways. I came in here today, so I've only had a fried oyster 6 times in my life. Damie sits them on the table when I do the show at Fadley's, famously. She just slides them in and puts them down, and I sit there and pick at them like popcorn, and they're so delicious. But I've never ordered a fried oyster in a restaurant in my life because there's always 20 things on the menu that feel like they're going to appeal to me more. Like there's shrimp, there's crab cakes, a real crab cake, there's steak, there's chicken, there's a salad. I ordered your oysters today. I've never ordered fried oysters anywhere until today. And the reason I ordered them, I went online, research. I'm doing this fried oyster. It sort of eliminates me from having it for the first time when I come back here, and I'm going to come back now that we're family. So I came in. Both of your hostesses said, try the fried oysters. Server said, fried oysters are remoulade. Ronnie, who's been phenomenal. Alexa came over. Manager said, try the fried oysters. I said, all right, order the fried oysters. I had one bite of the remoulade, and I had the oyster. It's in my mouth, and I grabbed my phone. I started taking pictures, and I tweeted out, literally, I don't even know what the reaction is because I've been here running my jaws for 4 hours. My last statement was, I think we just unwittingly kicked off the 25th anniversary of the Maryland Oyster Tour here at the Museum of Art, and I took the picture of your oysters before I ate them. Text my wife, I said, ridiculous. So oysters to me are the undiscovered thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's going to be my next Chesapeake celebrity chef thing. What do I need to know about oysters and what made yours taste so good? And why does everybody want them?
Well, because we just do them really, really simply. We get Chesapeake oysters. They're shucked oysters. We do them with a little bit of flour and a little bit of Chesapeake seasoning, some salt, some peppers. Shake that off, fry them very quickly so they're nice and crisp, and that's it. No egg, no batter.
I ate 6 of them, and I wanted 6 more, and I had a little cup of cream of crab, and I had the berry salad, which is still in my teeth, which is a long story. Blackberries. Mistake always. But I got the oysters, and I just want to say, you've inspired me today to reimagine that because I have more Mercedes to meet, more BMAs to promote, more family to meet that I don't know about. Probably not, but in this particular case, your Chesapeake background and you taking the Gertie's concept to the Dungeness crabs? What are they doing out there? You didn't serve a Dungeness crab, did you?
No, not at Gertie's. No, we didn't have the Dungeness crab.
I was going to say, what's a Baltimore guy doing in Berkeley County? I know why you came back, right? Because this is home.
Exactly. Well, I went on vacation and I just got lost, and I was there for 18 years. I don't know. Things happened.
But it was a Chesapeake menu.
About California.
It was Berkeley.
You took a Chesapeake menu to Northern California.
I did. And
well, that's its own podcast. I mean, it's going to take us at least. That's the next episode of all of this. But so for your menu and for your association here, for all these years of being here, what makes it awesome? I pulled in today, and it was just more vibrant. Not that I should say that I expected it to be, but you didn't have an empty seat in here on a third. I mean, no. It's really remarkable. It really is.
It is. Gertrude's is a community spot, as is the BMA. And that makes me so proud. I mean, I have so many people who actually had their first dates here. They got married here. Their kids, they would have a christening party here. And then those kids actually are host people at the restaurant. That continuity of being the spot, the community gathering place. I call it our common table. And, it gives me so much joy.
I completely agree.
I can see it. I mean, you wear it. There's no doubt. Well, the reason I'm here is Baltimore, you have no idea. Dan Roderick is going to be doing a show here the next couple of weeks. Dan's been a friend of mine. I came here last year. I'm like, I got to come back. I've been meaning to get here. And I haven't even tried the real thing. So this is sort of like when Kiss plays Rock and Roll All Night at the end of the show, like they did with my art. I brought this today for you because I thought this was what art was to me. This was what art was to me, album art and concert art, when I think of the first art I fell in love with as a kid. Other than finger painting or logos of sports teams were,
whatever
big Houston
your
Oilers
gateway to
logo.
art is, we love it. Whatever the gateway to art is.
Well, it led me to marrying a phenomenal woman that went to the Louvre a few weeks ago, who hasn't been to the BMA. So we're going to look to change that next Friday.
It sounds like
and get her here.
Y'all should both come back, spend some time in the museum, and then maybe a meal over here.
Well, I have to figure out which one of these crab cakes I'm going to. So this is what I'm going to do. Out of respect to my mother, not to disrespect to your grandmother, but this looks like the way my mother would do it.
That's
true. You swear to me. So there's a restaurant down in Annapolis called Davis's Pub in a corner, and they do something I think that might be similar to this, which is, I call it East Baltimore.
Yeah.
I call it the fried hockey puck. No offense.
Yeah.
It's not going to taste like a hockey puck, but it looks like one. So I'm going to love this. I mean, I'm good. This is going to taste like home to me. It is. No offense to Grandmom or those lumpy crab cakes that you jumbo lump. I had an argument with Andrew Zimmer, and he told me there's only one way to do a crab cake. He said that on my air.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're not from around here.
Yeah, not in Maryland. There's more than just one way to do a crab cake.
There's so many.
Now, what about?
So many.
I had a whole summer, the first summer, everywhere I went, they gave me tartar sauce.
Right.
And they give it to me in it's mayonnaise and some pickly crap. In a lot of places, it's not artisan. Then I had a shell, by the way. I mean, just real.
Yes.
That's real crab. And then I had really, really good tartar in a handful of places with this lemon and this burst and this brightness and this creaminess. And I thought, who in the world would ever put tartar sauce on a crab cake? Like, it's not unheard of in Dundalk. Like, I wouldn't do it. Cocktail, yes. On that, yes. But never tartar. And then I start to see fancy schmick guys that go to Berkeley, chefs who do remoulades, who do various mustards, and I see mustard seed. Are these the same rems? Because these are mustard.
They're mustard sauce.
Is this what I had
that's
on
a 3 mustard sauce.
This isn't what I had on the oyster,
no,
is it?
That's a different. That was a remoulade.
All right, so what should I do with what?
Well, generally,
that's a tartar.
The Gertie goes with the basil caper tartar sauce.
So this is going to be Gucci, the way
it's Gucci,
a guy
very
would make
Gucci,
it. Okay.
High end.
Dundalk kid, keep in mind. All right,
but lowest common denominator, it's tartar sauce.
So I'm going to go mustard. Oh, I'm going to go mustard on the old school mama cake.
That's the good one.
And what's this cake called? The fried.
That's the boardwalk, like you would get down the boardwalk at Ocean City. Yep.
Delicious. Okay.
And we get our crab from J.M. Clayton, which you probably know down in Crisfield.
Let me tell you about J.M. Clayton.
I mean, in
Cambridge.
Cambridge, yes.
So J.M. Clayton, True Blue, they're out on the chop tank, bringing these in, and Jack down there.
Jack's great, isn't he?
Jack took me in 2 summers ago on the tour, and he said, "You're going to come down here when we're picking. And I'm going to come through, and I'm going to bring in," and all the women had masks on because it was COVID time, right?
Okay.
All Mexican and Central American and artists.
Yes.
I used the artists, the way the crab comes out, and I saw every step of that process and learned that the females are what with the roe, and when you find orange roe in a delicate crab cake, it's going to have the sweetness. And I'm into this, as you can tell.
It's really
I've had
cool.
a few crab cakes in my day. What was your favorite crab cake when you grew up in Parkville? Did you have a place? Was there a place you went that made it like your grandmother?
Usually my grandmother, we didn't grow up with a whole lot of money, so we really didn't go out to eat very often.
Okay.
So there was a place right up on Taylor Avenue called Hales Seafood, and they were there forever. Pappas has bought it.
Okay.
And so
I was
now.
there last week, by the way.
Yeah, but growing up, that's where I would go. If Gertie wasn't making the crab cake, I would.
So what's Gertie's crab cake? Give me, don't give the recipe, but what is this? Because everybody's talked about this. This is the one everybody talks about.
Well, I mean, it's just like a crab cake, like a normal crab cake should be. It's good crab meat. That's what you need.
Yep.
You need good crab meat.
I've learned that.
It's nothing, earth-shattering about that. It has egg. It has some mustard. You could use Dijon. You could use the English mustard if you wanted to.
You can enjoy it
some
without
little lemon juice. You could do,
yeah.
and you mix up, make a little batter with it. Treat it very gently. Use the least amount of breading that you can do to get it to hold together, and then let the crab do the talking. You don't have to
And
go.
the crab really does do the talking.
Yeah,
I'm doing talking right now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not talking.
Exactly.
Because the crab's doing talking. John Shields is here.
Exactly.
We're at Gertrude's. I got crab in my teeth. I've got boardwalk. I've got
Caddies,
not catfish. They're eating our crabs. It's a problem. Go back and watch my thing with Marty Gary, as well as the house Gertrude's. And it's some days you get the Barbara McCluskey in there, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I call that the Babs. What do you call that?
It's
the
called Senator Barb's.
Senator Barb's.
Yep.
And what makes that on the menu or not on the menu? How does that happen?
Well, it's just a rotating, it's just a rotating thing. It's whatever kind
And that's got special bread in it.
of whim
right?
that they come up in the kitchen and say, let's do the Senator Barb today. And then
I'm coming back that
That means
time.
you got to come back for multiple visits so
Right.
that you can try all the
Absolutely.
crab cakes.
Well, actually, when you think about that, and Nestor, when you were talking about all the different kinds of things and different kind of crab cakes, I kind of look at Gertrude's as an exhibit space. It's called Gertrude's Chesapeake Kitchen. So a lot of people are visiting from out of the country or they're visiting from out of state. So I like them to be able to get a taste of all around the Chesapeake. They might not be able to get down to the Eastern Shore. They might not be able to go down to Southern Maryland. So I like this to be a little bit of a culinary exhibit right here at the Baltimore Museum of Art.
Absolutely.
Well, now that we're family, I'm coming back. We're at Gertrude's. We're at the BMA, the Baltimore Museum of Art, right off the Hopkins campus. Easily accessible if you're in Hamden or Remington or anywhere, quite frankly. Close enough that I can almost see the 33rd Street Stadium lights if they were still here, but they're not. I couldn't drive past here for 10 years. My wife would tell you beginning of our marriage. Mercedes Lopez is here. She is the visitor experience manager at the BMA. I came here for Cone Sisters when I was a kid. Give everybody a 30-second. Tell them about the Cone Sisters and what I learned when I was in 5th grade.
Yeah,
about why they're
absolutely.
significant.
So the Cone sisters, Clarabelle and Etta Cone, are Baltimore-based, I guess, collectors from the late 1800s, early 1900s. They were friends with Gertrude Stein. Her brother Leo studied at Hopkins. Friends with artists like Matisse. Their collection is really the bread and butter of the BMA. So you'll find Matisse and his contemporaries, Cézanne, Van Gogh, Picasso, Renoir. All those modernists that you're familiar with, you'll find.
My son went to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam day before yesterday. So there.
Well, we've got two
I have an
Van
art
Goghs here.
family. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll have. Well, if he hasn't been to the BMA, maybe he can come too.
You have 2 Van Goghs here.
We've got 2 Van Goghs. We've got some
We didn't
booths.
promote this.
Yeah, they're
glad we're here.
fantastic. And we recently participated in a worldwide Van Gogh project, which I'm sorry the name escapes me, but I have no doubt that you'll be able to find it because it's a worldwide project.
First time I ever went to the Mechanic was to see Vincent with Leonard Nimoy as the lead.
Yes, I saw
My mother
that.
took me there in 1979, 80. Mr. Star Trek, Spock guy doing Van Gogh.
Yeah.
How about that? Ear in the envelope, poor guy.
Whoa.
But the notion that I've been to the Van Gogh Museum but don't spend more time with the BMA. Shame on I get my kid and his daughter over here.
Absolutely.
I hear they're related to you.
They are. That's my cousin and her husband.
You better give them grief for spending a whole week in Amsterdam museums and not coming to your museum.
Well, I'm going to have their butts over.
We have over 97,000 objects, so we're rotating constantly. We can only have 6 to 8% of the collection on view at any given time. So if it's been a little while since the last visit, come through and I'm sure you'll see a new museum.
All right, we'll get over here soon. Anything special for the holidays or anything going into the new year that we need to promote, let people know, events, anything like that?
Sure. So the next big thing that we're looking at is the opening of our Joseph Education Center. It's a accessible, interactive space to welcome kids and families. That's a renovation that just happened on the first floor, and we're really looking forward to the opening.
Did I just walk through there? Did I walk through there on the way to the executive? I think I did. There was sort of a closed-off area.
There is a closed-off area.
It smelled brand new.
You may have seen the behind the scenes, so don't give it away. Just encourage folks to come check it out.
I went behind the curtains. It was like special beepies. It felt like I was in a Get Smart episode.
Yeah, you usually do need a special beep for that.
And I went to a special beepy, and I'm like, we're the only ones in here. I feel like it's Disneyland after dark, And then I smelled it. I'm like, it smells like a new wing. And so that was it. Yep. I was in that area.
So that's opening. That's coming up next. And ahead into the new year, we're looking forward to our retrospective for Joyce J. Scott. Yeah, all of Baltimore loves and the world loves. How often do you walk through the museum? You live here.
Quite frequently when I can't stand being in a restaurant anymore, then I go on a stroll. And what a great place to take a stroll.
It's a quiet space. It's a good place to do some thinking.
Yeah,
right?
I get my steps in.
You got it.
Absolutely. Mercedes Lopez is here. She's the visitor experience manager. You can find her over here at the BMA. Everything at the BMA is at ART, A-R-T, like Modell, BMA.org, artbma.org. And, of course, you can find Gertrude's here. You're open midday. You're like a really lunch, early dinner place, right,
yeah,
for the most part?
Lunch and dinner 5 days a week.
Until what time?
Our last seating normally is 8 o'clock at night. And
brunch on Sundays.
with live music.
I saw the omelets. 90% of your pictures are crab cakes and brunch. Yes. And I'm like, and what kind of music we have? Good music?
Yeah, we have Dottie Timberlake, who is a Baltimore legend. She played with Billie Holiday, Duke Ellington. She's amazing.
I got to have her on the show.
Yeah,
you need her
great.
on.
She's fantastic.
I'm going to hang out with the museum guys here. I'm going to get some better guests around here like these folks. John Shields is here. We're Gertrude's. Dan Roderick's show opens next week. It's Baltimore. You have no idea. My thanks to Odette Ramos, councilwoman, for coming by, and for her husband, my lifer friend John, for providing the proper coquito. I got coquito today. Yesterday, they surprised me at Coco's and dumped a bunch of eggnog on me. Whiskey, rum, burro, had all the stuff in it that I don't put in when I put it in the coffee. So the holidays this is adding up. I'm taking crab cakes home to my wife from my family member, John Shields, whose cousin is my daughter-in-law's cousin. Is that right?
Mother.
I'm trying to find out what
your
to call
daughter-in-law.
Mother, you're the cousin of the mother of my daughter-in-law.
We're cousin-in-laws.
We're really
we're cousin-in-laws.
As far as families go,
follow that.
We're cousin-in-laws.
We're cousin-in-laws.
Yeah, somebody was saying your cousins by marriage, and I'm like, that sounds so. That's not like real family.
Nah.
Yeah, that sounds a little too formal for Smaltimore, right?
Yeah.
Get on over here, get a boardwalk cake, get a caddy, get a Gertz. By the way, I want to give some love to the family of Gert Gibson, who was my mother's best friend, who we didn't have a big family. Like I said, we would spend every family holiday at Miss Gert's house. Miss Gert's house, or Mr. Sam, but a lot of times called Miss Gert. That was her husband. And all of their kids listen, and they're friends of ours. And Stan Gibson, they do Stan Stock every year. His mother's name was Gert. And I don't know. I don't know that I've met any other Gerts, many Gerts in my whole life, other than Miss Gert, who we lost years ago. But she lives on, her spirit lives on, her name here, being here, but really in our sauerkraut and kielbasa. You know I'm from Dundalk. I'm having sauerkraut and kielbasa on the holidays, right?
That's right.
Do you do that in Parkville?
You're going to have to come to Krautfest.
What?
You're going to have to come for
Krautfest. We have the sauerkraut. We got the kielbasa. We got it all.
When and where?
Polka band. Right here, Joy of Maryland, on the 12th and 13th of January.
That's
the place
soon.
to be. I'll get you in. You're my cousin-in-law.
Very important. Well, you're now related to my wife, who's Polish. So will there be pierogi served?
Absolutely. We have everything.
Man, we taking care of the Polish people, taking care of the artist people,
every year.
taking care of the crab cake people, taking care of the art people. We got it all going on. Thanks to you and to your whole team. And I'm here to help with the BMA. We're going to tour around. We'll be back here next week with Dan Roderick. If you missed Dan, if you missed Odette, please go check it out and stay with us. We're WNST AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, signing off for our friends at the Maryland Lottery, Win Donation, and of course Jiffy Lube Multicare. We're the Maryland Crab Cake Tour, and I'm sorry I annoyed all your patrons with my volume. Back for more right after this.